For what's felt like years, Naruto and Boruto fans alike have been crying out for Boruto to get to the time skip we saw in the first couple of pages of the first chapter. And for the first time in Boruto's almost 6-year run, it feels as though we're getting close to it. In fact, we're a lot closer than most people think. See, personally, I've known when the time skip was coming for a long time. These funny little things called the NDAs required me not to tell any of you that. So today we're gonna be talking on some theories about how close the Boruto time skip is and what to expect with that time skip. Because for all intents and purposes, the Boruto time skip is upon us. But today, I want to talk about more than just the time skip. Today, I want to talk to you about Naruto's final boss and how Naruto himself is going to play a massive role in the defeat of that final boss. Yes, that's right, ladies and gentlemen, though Naruto may be gone temporarily from the story, he won't be for long. But before we get to diving into all things Boruto time skip and how Naruto's gonna play back into the story, guys, please, for me, like this video, subscribe to the page, and hit that noti bell. And if you guys love hearing me talk about theories, final bosses, or explaining anything in anime, go ahead and follow my other YouTube channel, The Weeb Commander, where I break down what happens in every other anime not named Naruto or Boruto. And if you're feeling extra generous, go ahead and follow my brand new podcast, Otaku's Anonymous, where me and Danny Mata break down everything that happened in anime this week. Before we get to talking about all that, guys, today we're gonna talk about a brand new sponsor to the page, HelloFresh. See guys, this is the most excited I've been about an ad on our page in a long time. See, personally, I've used HelloFresh for over 3 years, and I love it. HelloFresh has done a myriad of things for me. You see, I started HelloFresh in college. I was a sophomore living with 4 other guys in a 5-bedroom house, and I had absolutely no idea how to cook. But I hated grocery shopping, and I never had good ideas for recipes. So I got into HelloFresh, and not only did HelloFresh teach me how to cook, it kept my palate entertained with a myriad of diverse and delicious recipes. You see, every single week, HelloFresh gives you 30+ options and 70+ convenience items that are delivered directly to your door. They offer seasonal tastes like pumpkin in the fall, and all of their produce is incredibly fresh. But more than that, HelloFresh allowed me to lose over 55 pounds. See, by knowing exactly what I was cooking and having it proportioned out for me, I was able to keep track of what I ate. And with this ability and the myriad of healthy options that are presented to you with HelloFresh, I was able to lose 55 pounds. Not to mention, I wasn't sacrificing an ounce of flavor. But more than anything, HelloFresh can allow you to eat sustainably. In fact, HelloFresh is the first carbon neutral meal kit. But let me show you guys what cracking into a HelloFresh looks like every week for me. See, all of their packaging is recyclable. And when you open the box, you get to see your 3 and/or 4 if you have 4 selected menu items for the week. And tonight, I'm making one of my favorite meals from HelloFresh, their Santa Fe tacos. But telling you guys isn't enough. Today I'm gonna show you how much HelloFresh has taught me how to cook. Look, I don't even have to look when I'm cutting onions nowadays. The prep on these meals is so easy. And the product? Always comes out delicious. Within the sustainable packaging, we also have our meals. This right here is crispy buffalo spice chicken. Now this is gonna have your rice, your potatoes, your carrots. It's also gonna have all of the seasonings and cooking essentials you need outside of oil and salt and pepper. Then packed separately is our protein. For that meal, it would be a chicken cutlet. And let me tell you, all of the protein and the produce provided by HelloFresh is top notch. Go to HelloFresh.com and use code 65NCHammer23 for 65% off, plus free shipping. So come on guys, achieve your fitness goals and help the planet by switching to HelloFresh. So the Boruto time skip, a moment that many Boruto fans felt was still years away, has now been basically thrust upon us. With characters like Ada and Daemon and Code really beginning to show up in the story full time just a couple of chapters ago, people felt as though we had a year, maybe a year and a half of fleshing out this Code arc before we would dive into the time skip. However, the past 2 chapters of Boruto, chapter 77 and 78, have proved that the manga is moving in any other direction than fleshing out the Code arc. In chapter 77, we saw Kawaki use a Shinjutsu against Naruto and Hinata to teleport them into a dimension where time doesn't move, essentially locking them in the 1 second they were captured for as long as he keeps them there. People speculated about what this Shinjutsu could have been, but it was revealed in chapter 78 that this Shinjutsu was Daikoten, which is an ability that we saw Ishiki use to trap things that he shrunk with his Hikona Hikona into another dimension location where he would keep them for safekeeping, though we never saw him use this ability on humans, and therefore it wasn't generally believed that he could use this ability on humans. Because if he could use this ability on humans, why didn't he? Which means a couple things to us: either Ishiki wasn't good with his own abilities, or Kawaki is already stronger than Ishiki, at least so far as using Shinjutsu goes. And this act of Kawaki sealing away Naruto and Hinata is the true first signaling point for the time skip being on the way, as the beginning pages of chapter 1 start with Kawaki telling Boruto that he'll send him where he sent the Seven, which in itself is a relatively perplexing question when considered the fact that Kawaki wants to kill Boruto, not seal him. So the fact that Kawaki would want to seal Boruto in a timeless place is kind of confusing and doesn't line up with his ideology that he currently holds. But regardless, this action of sealing away Naruto was the first step towards our time skip timeline. And in chapter 78, we got our second step. See, the reason that Kawaki wanted Naruto and Hinata sealed is because he didn't want them around interfering in what he believes he has to do. And what he believes he has to do is kill every Otsutsuki, which unfortunately includes Boruto, as Boruto is now a permanently fused version of himself in Momoshiki, making him around 85% Otsutsuki. So immediately after sealing Naruto and Hinata, Kawaki headed off to kill Boruto. And that's what we're treated to in chapter 78. Kawaki and Boruto's first real battle. In this battle, Kawaki tries to seal Boruto in Daikoten, which actually, now that I'm talking about it, if Kawaki just seals away Boruto forever, I guess that's close to killing him. Kawaki could simply just place Boruto in Daikoten and never really have to worry about Momoshiki again. And in that circumstance, that's actually exactly aligned with what he's trying to accomplish, because after all, it would be one less Otsutsuki to worry about. So him threatening to send Boruto to where he sent Naruto actually lines up. It's weird, not until I start filming do I put these things together. However, Boruto is able to use his karma to absorb the Daikoten and break out of the Shinjutsu Kawaki's trying to cast him in. And it's at this point that Boruto and Kawaki start to fight seriously. And it looks as though Kawaki has Boruto on the defensive until Sarada, Mitsuki, and Shikamaru and Sasuke step in, with Sarada launching a fireball at Kawaki that he has to break away from Boruto to absorb, Mitsuki grabbing his karma arm so he can't absorb any ninjutsu, Shikamaru placing him under shadow paralysis technique, and Sasuke appearing out of nowhere and placing a sword to his neck. And in this moment, it appears as though Kawaki is going to be captured, which ironically would have worked against us getting the time skip, because there probably would have been a whole slap on the wrists Kawaki arc. However, in a massive twist, Momoshiki awakes in Boruto and frees Kawaki, telling Kawaki, "If you want to kill me, you probably want to escape from this situation." However, it's worth mentioning that before any of this, Boruto saves Sarada from Kawaki, and in that action takes a slash from Kawaki across his eye, which lines up with the scar that we see him have on his Jogan eye in the time skip. But back to Momoshiki. Momoshiki, after freeing Kawaki and Kawaki shrinking himself with Hikona Hikona and escaping all the people that were there to kill him, tells Boruto that he's now lost one blue eye, and this is just the beginning of him losing everything. But the term of Momoshiki saying you've now lost one blue eye is kind of weird, because he hasn't. As far as we know, as long as the time skip that we saw in the first couple of pages of Boruto hasn't been retconned, Boruto still has his Joga. So that leaves us with either one of two outcomes. Either Momoshiki doesn't know that Boruto didn't actually lose his eye, and therefore it's to act as a symbolic event that Boruto's not actually going to lose everything like Momoshiki is saying, or Boruto has lost his actual eye and now can only use that eye for his Jogan, kind of like Kakashi. But once again, this is operating on that assumption that those beginning pages haven't been retconned, which, considering the fact that the first 56 or so chapters of Boruto weren't actually written by Kishimoto, isn't the craziest thing that could happen. But also when we consider the fact that Naruto has now been sent somewhere else and Boruto has a scar in his eye, it's hard to believe that that is retconned. So the real question becomes, why would Momoshiki help Kawaki? For which there's a couple of possible answers, none of which that are entirely conclusive. As it currently stands, I have 3 theories as to why Momoshiki would want Kawaki alive. And honestly, I don't know which one is more possible than the other, so I'm kind of just gonna go in a random order. The first reason that I could think of Momoshiki wanting Kawaki alive is to use him to create a chakra fruit. It's a possibility that Momoshiki understands that if Kawaki was caught by Konoha, he would never get the opportunity to use Kawaki to feed to a Ten Tails to grow a chakra fruit. And considering the fact that Kawaki is 80 to 90% Otsutsuki, he's pretty much Momoshiki's best option, since consuming a chakra fruit is pretty much the only way that Momoshiki would ever have even close to a semblance of control over Boruto's body ever again. I mean, Momoshiki is currently able to break break out in small spurts. However, we know from the information that Ishiki gave to Code that if Boruto were to hypothetically consume a chakra fruit, he would basically become a full-fledged Otsutsuki. And after becoming a full-fledged Otsutsuki, it's probably likely that Momoshiki would fully take over his body. We know this because Ishiki told Code to eat a chakra fruit and try to consume as many chakra fruits as possible to become an Otsutsuki god, and to live in Ishiki's name. The second possibility feels not very likely to me, but also is kind of a hint as to where I'm going with the rest of this video. Like, I know this is how Boruto's gonna play out, but I don't think it's what Momoshiki is currently thinking. Because the second theory I have for why Momoshiki would keep Kawaki alive is because he knows he needs Kawaki. Not to be a sacrifice, but a partner. What do I mean by that? Well, through the introduction of the cyborgs and all of the shinjutsu that the cyborgs like Daemon and Ada have, we found out that an Otsutsuki god exists, and his name is Shibai. Shibai has consumed so many chakra fruits and undergone karmic regeneration so many times that he eventually became so powerful he no longer needed a body, transcending physical mass to exist in a dimension of his own, which is incredibly gangster. But when Boruto and Kawaki and everybody was talking about shinjutsus, Momoshiki chipped in, saying that he knew that Ada's Senrigan and Daemon's ability to reflect attacks were in fact shinjutsu, but Ada's entrancement bit wasn't a shinjutsu that belonged to Shibai, which told us that Momoshiki not only knows of Shibai, but knows of his abilities, and knows how much of a threat and how powerful he is. Momoshiki now also knows that Shibai's body is on Earth, as Amado had to use parts of Shibai's body to give the cyborgs the shinjutsus they have. But this is because Ishiki was directing him to give these cyborg shinjutsus. However, when the cyborgs became more powerful than Ishiki and Jigen forced Amado to shut them down. What if the real reason that Ishiki was building this army of cyborgs wasn't to help him take over Earth, but instead prepare for a battle against Shibai? What if the reason that Otsutsukis want to become an Otsutsuki god is so they can stand up to Shibai? What if Momoshiki knows that he needs the help of Kawaki in his karma marking to one day stand a chance against Shibai? And therefore Momoshiki is planning for the future where he, in Ishiki's karma marking, but not Ishiki's brain, and Kawaki are able to battle against Shibai, or in a smaller sense, battle against Code, as Code is after exactly what Momoshiki is after, creating a chakra fruit from Earth and consuming it. However, Momoshiki has been on this path for a substantially longer time than Code. The only person who's not on the path of trying to turn Earth into a chakra fruit is Kawaki. So Momoshiki, understanding that one day Kawaki may help Momoshiki in his battle against Code or Shibai, is saving Kawaki so he can either beat Shibai or consume the chakra fruit. My third and final possible theory is probably even less likely than the last one, but basically in this theory, I'm stating that Momoshiki is saving Kawaki so that one day he can use him for karmic reincarnation. Now I know what you're saying, Kawaki already has a karma seal, he can't get another one, which is fair, except for the fact that Kawaki's karma seal doesn't have data. There's no Otsutsuki uploaded to it. All that Kawaki got with his karma seal was the abilities of Ishiki. So it's a possibility that Momoshiki could upload his data or his personality and his chakra to this empty karma seal, giving Momoshiki an out of Boruto. But once again, this one feels very unlikely. I'm more just throwing it out there to cover my bases in case it happens. But since we're talking about what might happen in the time skip, I want to talk about what I am pretty much entirely sure will happen in the time skip. So I'd like to say that this theory was entirely my own, but it's not. I got emailed a good portion of this theory, and like I do with all theories, I added a little fluff to it and built around it, and now we have a YouTube video. See, personally, I believed from the second Shibai was introduced that he was going to be the last boss of Boruto, and probably the last boss of the Naruto universe. Because after Boruto, we're moving backwards, is what I think will happen. Oof, almost let that one slip. It's the Chekhov's gun theory. If you see a gun in the first act, it will be used in the third. They could have just floated the idea of an Otsutsuki god, but the second that they gave the Otsutsuki god a name and abilities, that Otsutsuki god became the final boss. And I've been saying this for as long as the Boruto manga has been out, but I believe the Kawaki and Boruto's battle is a smokescreen, much in the same way as Batman and Superman's battle was a smokescreen. Doomsday is always going to show up so the two good guys don't have to duke it out. However, in this circumstance, it's not Doomsday, it's Shibai Otsutsuki. I believe that Boruto and Kawaki will have a good part of Boruto Shippuden where they're battling against each other as Kawaki goes on a tear to wipe out all traces of Otsutsuki in the universe. But all traces of Otsutsuki in the universe very much includes Shibai Otsutsuki, who he knows exists. And if Kawaki well and truly wants to get rid of every single Otsutsuki, he should probably get rid of the strongest one. So either Kawaki and Boruto are gonna come together and decide to be brothers again, or Kawaki's gonna realize that he can't take on Shibai without Boruto. The real question becomes, why is Shibai in the story? How are they fighting somebody without a physical body? Well, this is where code comes into the story. For everybody reading the Boruto manga right now, it feels as though code was introduced and everyone was like, ooh, scary. And then he was instantly reduced to basically nothing. Yeah, he was able to get his limiters off, but he's still no match for either Ada or Daemon. And sure, they said without his limiters, he's stronger than Ishiki, but it's already looking like Kawaki is probably stronger than Ishiki as well. And as Boruto gets further and further into mastering his karma marking, he'll probably be close to Ishiki as well. So this limitless code really isn't all that limitless in regards to the people he's battling against. And this being most likely the conclusion of the code arc leads a lot of people asking, what happened to code? And honestly, I've kind of written code off. However, the theory that I was emailed isn't writing code off. In fact, it's stating that code isn't some throwaway bad guy. He's the final baddie. But what do I mean? I just said Shibai is the final baddie. How could it be Code? Well, the theory that I was emailed presents an incredible way for Code to remain relevant in the story. See, Code, as it currently stands, is the wielder of a white karma marking. And it's already been theorized by both Kawaki and Boruto that they should place their own karma marking on Code, as it's been explicitly stated by both of them that he's clearly compatible with karma markings. And therefore, if Boruto were to place a karma marking on Code, he could take over Code's consciousness and abandon his half Otsutsuki body, which once again is kind of a Chekhov's gun moment that got thrown away, as the idea of taking over Code's body was kind of tossed out the window. But what if this moment was simply to point at the fact that Code is compatible with receiving another karma marking? That Code, as somebody compatible with the karma marking, could be used to download another person's data. And therein lies the irony of Code's name. Code. Yet Code didn't get the code of Ishiki. Sure, he got Ishiki's abilities and powers, but he wasn't able to reincarnate Ishiki because he didn't get Ishiki's code. But what if Code hasn't truly received his code yet? What if Shibai Otsutsuki didn't abandon his body because he transcended the need for a body? What if Shibai abandoned his body because he had to? What if Shibai got to the point where he simply couldn't exist in a vessel anymore? There was no vessel strong enough to contain his abilities and personality, and therefore he had to ascend into a dimension maybe like Daikoten, where he could exist as a spiritual being without a body, without fear of dissipating. And Code, with his karma compatibility, will eventually be the vessel that Shibai has always been looking for. And when you think about it, the motivations on both sides line up. Code worships the Otsutsuki. He wants to become an Otsutsuki. He feels shame that he couldn't be the reincarnation for Ishiki, and his current plan is to create and consume a chakra fruit so he can start down his path of becoming an Otsutsuki god. But what if in a desperate moment, when Code is being beaten back by either Ada, Daemon, Boruto, or Kawaki, Shibai reaches out to him? Because mind you, Code has the abilities of Ishiki. And while he didn't inherit things like Sukuna Hikona, he might have inherited things like Daikoten. And now that his limiters are off of him, he's able to access those things. And considering the fact that this is a Shinjutsu and Shibai had access to all Shinjutsu, it's a possibility that Code at some point or another could run into the consciousness of Shibai. So in this down and out moment, Code comes into contact with the strongest Otsutsuki out there and gets to become the Otsutsuki god that Ishiki wanted him to become. Because we have to ask ourselves the logical question, why was Shibai's body on Earth? Who are the two Otsutsuki markings that were destroyed? Was it Shibai and his partner? Was Shibai betrayed by his partner? Does Shibai, like Momoshiki, Ishiki, and Kaguya, want to consume the chakra fruit of Earth? I genuinely don't believe that Shibai is just some entity floating in a dimension we'll never hear from. The presence of his body on Earth seems like an implication that he will show up again, but this time through Code. At which point Code will arise into the final boss he should be, with access to every single Shinjutsu that Shibai has. And in this moment, Naruto and Kawaki will have to come together to battle against this physical form of Shibai. But they won't be enough, because after all, we are talking about an entity that has consumed the chakra fruits of hundreds, if not thousands of planets. Sure, Shiki and Momoshiki are incredibly powerful Otsutsuki. They are trying to become what Shibai is. It's said that Shibai can cause torrents and split the skies with a simple scream, being able to terraform and destroy planets at will. Every Shinjutsu ability we've seen, he has. Daikoten, the Senrigan, Daemon's ability to reflect attacks. Even Code with his limiters off isn't able to battle against one of those Shinjutsu. Kawaki and Boruto are gonna need help. Where are they gonna get it? From somebody who's also in the Daikoten. See, Kawaki, upon realizing that he needs Boruto's help, will also come to the realization that Naruto does not need protecting. As Kawaki begins down his path of actually becoming a human who understands human emotions, he'll realize that even though he wants to protect Naruto, it's not up to him to decide whether Naruto can fight or not. And from this, the character development we're going to be focusing on is trust. Kawaki will have to trust Boruto to keep Momoshiki under wraps, and he'll have to trust Naruto to battle at his best. And thus, after making an alliance with Boruto, Kawaki will release Naruto and Hinata, who, mind you, haven't aged a second since being placed in the Daikoten. Naruto, as he's being released, would be absolutely no help against Shibai, which is why Kawaki trusts Naruto to do something that only Naruto can do, and that's to eliminate the threat that currently exists on Earth. See, whether or not Shibai is coming back to Earth for revenge against his partner or to eat the chakra fruit made from Earth, either way, if Shibai's walking around on Earth, he's still probably gonna turn Earth into a chakra fruit. It's just what Otsutsukis do. And thus, in order to eliminate that possibility, Naruto does what only Naruto can do, and that is become the Ten Tails Jinchuriki. In order to guarantee that neither of his sons are fed to the Ten Tails, Naruto takes it upon himself in the ultimate act of trust from Kawaki to allow him to do this to absorb the Ten Tails. This is why Kurama was killed. Much in the same way as Shibai's name being dropped, Naruto becoming an empty vessel was done on purpose. It wasn't just to nerf him. There would have been other ways to do that. And Naruto, upon absorbing the Ten Tails, basically becomes the Sage of Six Paths on Earth, where he, with his Sage of Six Paths chakra, is able to once again bestow to Sasuke a 6-tome Rinnegan. And it's at this point that Boruto, Kawaki, Naruto, Sasuke, Sarada, and Mitsuki battle it out in the final fight against Code. Because while obviously this show is about Boruto and Kawaki and Sarada and Mitsuki, Kishimoto would have to be absolutely insane to have the biggest fight possibly in Naruto's history not include Naruto and Sasuke. When it comes down to it, will Naruto and Sasuke probably play kind of minor roles in this battle and more support Boruto and Kawaki in their battle against Shibai? Probably, but this will also be the closing chapters of Boruto. At that point, you really don't have to worry about Boruto carrying the story any longer. And if you want to end on a bang, you use your good finishers. And all of this plays perfectly into the idea that I've had for a long time that Naruto is going to become the next Sage of Six Paths and wander the world, keeping an eye on everybody. Understanding that both of his sons are safe and will keep a good eye on Konoha with the helps of Sasuke, it's a possibility that Naruto and Hinata go back to the moon to restart the moon colony to watch over Earth. Considering the fact that Hinata is the head of the Hyuga clan and a descendant of Hamura, who stayed on the moon to watch over the Earth for thousands of years. It's also a possibility that Naruto, as a Sage of Six Paths, just stays in Konoha. But when it really boils down to it, I don't see any other conclusion but this. But what do you guys think? What do you think we're gonna see in the Boruto time skip? Tell me in the comments below. And while you guys are down there, please, for me, like this video, subscribe to the page, and hit that noti bell. I'd like to say that I have no insider information and everything that I just said is 100% theorized. That should cover me legally, right?